Marcus Webb was 44 years old. For 11 years, he had been the invisible architecture beneath everything his wife believed she had built alone. He never minded that. He had chosen it deliberately, the way a man who truly understands a structure knows which parts need to be seen and which parts simply need to hold. Diana had the gift. She always had. When she walked into a room, something shifted. Attention reorganized itself. Marcus had recognized it the first week they worked together, back when Vantara Solutions was nothing but a name on a whiteboard in a rented East Austin garage that smelled like motor oil and ambition. He had watched her speak to their first potential client, a mid-sized logistics firm that had seen 40 pitch decks that year, and he had watched the room decide, in real time, that she was the one. He had built everything that made that moment possible. The night Diana received unanimous board approval as CEO, she came home, sat across from him at the kitchen table, and slid a manila envelope toward him, with both hands the gesture of someone closing a meeting, not ending a marriage. "I need to move forward fully," she said. "I think we've both known this for a long time." She picked up her wine and walked to the bedroom. Marcus sat in the silence of the kitchen and looked at the envelope without touching it. He was not broken. He was not in shock. He was doing what he had always done in the moments that mattered most, thinking before moving. Measuring the full weight of what had shifted before deciding what came next. Diana walked into her billion-dollar company the next morning, convinced she understood exactly what she had left behind. She had never been so wrong about anything in her life. But what she didn't know, what Marcus had never once mentioned in 11 years, was about to change everything. The garage in East Austin had been Diana's idea. The incorporation structure had been Marcus's. That division, visible and invisible, had defined everything that followed. Diana ran client meetings, cultivated relationships, and carried the company's face into rooms Marcus prepared her for. He wrote the original code framework, restructured their pitch deck 11 times before it became impossible to refuse, and managed every contract, investor relationship, and midnight vendor dispute she never saw. He was the machinery that made her performance possible. He still remembered the night they closed their first real deal. Diana had burst through the garage door at 11 p.m., her heels in one hand and her phone in the other, laughing so hard she could barely speak. "We did it, Marcus. We actually did it." She had thrown her arms around him, laptop still open, spreadsheet mid-calculation, and for a moment, neither of them said anything. He had looked at the whiteboard behind her. Their company name. Their dream. "We," she had said. Not I. That was the woman he had married. That was the woman he had built everything for. He had never forgotten that moment. He simply hadn't realized that she had. What he had never told her, because she had never asked, was the precise legal architecture he had put in place in year one. Marcus had structured Vantara with two distinct layers. The operational layer was the company the world saw. Beneath it, the way foundations sit beneath buildings, was the founding ownership layer. Documented. Clean. Unbroken. Marcus James Webb. Founding Director. 61% equity stake. Retained in perpetuity unless voluntarily transferred. He had established this not out of suspicion, but out of discipline. Every serious builder he had studied had taught him the same lesson. Protect the foundation, or one day you will have nothing left to stand on. Diana had never once asked about the paperwork. She had trusted him to handle the structure. He had, down to every decimal point and every clause. He opened the envelope at 11:47 p.m. He read every page with the same attention he had brought to Vantara's earliest investor agreements. What he found was not grief. It was information. Diana's attorney had constructed a founding narrative that described her as the primary architect of Vantara's growth. Marcus appeared in the asset schedule as a supporting spouse. His name did not appear in her version of the company's history. He set the papers down. He opened his laptop. He pulled up the original incorporation filing. He read his own name back to himself in the quiet of the kitchen. Then he called Caleb. Caleb Rhodes had been Marcus's closest friend since their first year of college. They worked through everything at the kitchen table. Caleb set down the last page. "Her filing assumes a standard marital asset split," he said. "But your 61% founding stake was established prior to the marriage. It's airtight." He looked up. "Marcus, she filed to divorce the man who owns the company she just became CEO of." Marcus absorbed that without expression. That night he called Diana. He let his voice carry just enough uncertainty. She was warm, patient, generous. He thanked her and hung up. Then he called Caleb back. "Build the response." The meeting was scheduled for a Thursday morning. Diana arrived with 2 attorneys. Caleb opened a single folder. "Marcus Webb holds a 61% founding equity stake." Silence. Additionally, as majority stakeholder, Mr. Webb retains authority to review executive appointments. Diana's composure did not shatter. It receded. She looked at Marcus. "I built this for us," he said quietly. "You decided it was only yours. Now we both find out what that actually means." She looked at the document. "I know." The settlement took 3 weeks. Diana kept the CEO title. Marcus received full acknowledgement. 18 months later. "Dad." "Yeah." "Did you and Mom build the company together?" "Yeah," he said. "We did." "Is that why you're okay?" He looked at the yard. "Something like that." He felt no anger. No victory. Just stillness. Some things do not need to announce themselves. They simply need to last. If Marcus's story resonated with you, drop a comment below. And if you want more stories like this, hit subscribe. I'll see you there.